This is a pair of original HyperX clouds. Back in 2015, this was considered the cream of the crop for gaming headsets. Pretty much every major gaming site or YouTube channel would always recommend this over pretty much anything else. And for around $50, it was clear why. This pair though has definitely seen better days. They've been sitting in a box for about 3 years now, and it shows. They are incredibly dusty, their ear cups have completely degraded, spreading bits of faux leather everywhere, and as for the cable, well, we're not going to be getting any audio through that anytime soon. So how exactly are we going to fix it? Yeah, I think I might be crazy. Good evening all you wonderful people of the internet, my name is Patchy, and today we're not just going to be repairing this headset, but we're going to be giving it a feature that, in my opinion at least, belongs on pretty much every pair of over-ear headphones ever produced. That is a detachable cable. I'm also going to be giving this thing a bit of a refurbishment because there's no way I'm putting this thing anywhere near my head in the state it's currently in. But why give this thing a detachable cable then, instead of just repairing or replacing the cable that's already there? Well, for a start, the cable on any pair of headphones is always the part that's most likely to break. Giving it a detachable cable means that you won't have to do this process again in a year or so when your dog inevitably chews through it or you catch it on the door handle at just the wrong angle. Secondly, this device has a split headphone and mic connector, and while you can use an adapter, this form factor has fallen out of use a lot in recent years in favor of a single combined connector. That is at least for devices that still do use 3.5mm jacks. Yeah, but even in that case, it's probably best to avoid plugging as many dongles and adapters into each other as possible. So that's the why, but what about the how? Well, I'm going to be using this audio terminal block that I found on the Pi Hut. And the neat thing about this one is that it has these screw terminals to insert the wires into inside the headset, which means that this project actually doesn't require any soldering. If you are looking for a soldered solution though, I would still recommend you finish watching this video because I've got some secret information that might help you later on. This is a 4-pole aux port, which is very important because our headset has a built-in mic. If your headset or headphones don't have a built-in mic, or you simply don't care about that functionality, then feel free to use a 3-pole solution. But what do I mean when I say 4-pole and 3-pole? Well, aux cables are made up of individual wires, each responsible for carrying their own channel. Those being the left and right audio channels, and also a ground wire that completes the circuit and reduces noise. A 4-pole solution has an additional channel, which is most often used to carry audio from a microphone back to the device, but can also be used for additional data transfers as well, like pause and play and volume buttons. But that's enough with the explanations. Let's crack this thing open. Under the ear cups, there are 4 screws which hold the speaker assembly to the frame of the headphones. Inside, we can see that the cable's splitting off into its individual channels, and that's weird. Why are there more than 4 wires in here? Let's take a look online to see what these colors mean and figure it out. Oh, so it turns out that while the colors of internal audio device wiring is more or less standardized, there's pretty much no standard meaning for what those colors actually mean. How dumb is that? Anyway, by looking a bit closer, I was able to kind of figure things out. From what I found online, every mention says that copper-colored wires are ground, which makes sense since we have 2 of those. That would mean that we still have 4 poles. We can see this green wire going off to the other headphone, so that must be the right channel. We also have this weird green and red patterned wire, which seems to only be connected to the copper ground wire coming from the right headphone, so that's probably some kind of continuation of the ground connection down our cable. That leaves blue as our left channel wire, which makes sense since, yeah, it goes to the left headphone. With that figured out, let's cut the wires and remove the cable. I don't know why I was so nervous doing this. The cable is completely broken already. It's not like I can break it anymore. Before we go any further, I just want to take this opportunity to say thanks to those who have watched this far. It really does mean a lot to me. If you're enjoying the video, you can do all that usual YouTube stuff and click those buttons down below. It would really make my day. So now we have our individual channel wires sorted out, what do? Well, we can't just insert them into the screw terminals just yet. You see, despite these wires being so thin, they do still have some shielding on them. It's not just a layer of plastic that you can trim off with wire strippers. In fact, I have absolutely no idea what it is coating them. What I did find out though is that it's flammable, so that's good, and despite the layer of what looks like soot covering these wires that I can't seem to remove, at least they're conductive now. That unfortunately doesn't fix the issue of these wires being incredibly fiddly to work with, but after some time, I was able to get them into the screw terminals. Now, the end of our jack actually does fit very cleanly in the hole that was left by the wire, but unfortunately, this thing is just way too bulky, and there's no way of getting the headset closed with this in the way. So what we have to do then is make the hole big enough so that there's enough clearance that we can get this headset closed. How are we gonna do that? Well, yes, you've already seen it at the beginning of the video. I'm bringing out my trusty power drill again. If I had £1 for every time I'd have to use this on my personal electronic devices, well, I'd have £2, but it's weird that I had to do it twice. I started out trying to make the existing hole larger, but that still just was not good enough. I ended up having to drill another secondary hole and then use a sharp craft knife to cut away the plastic between them. I found the best method here was to sort of shave the plastic with a knife blade, going downwards. Don't be tempted to try sawing with the blade because that just doesn't work, and whatever you do, do not attempt to use the edge of a drill bit to grind away the plastic. Not only is that quite dangerous, but also makes an absolutely huge mess. Trust me, bits of plastic dust everywhere. So now we have a hole that's big enough to fit our terminal block through. But wow, that thing is ugly. It looks horrible, it's too big, and it's really jagged. Surely we're not gonna leave it like that, right? No. I have a solution, and that solution is to Sugru. No, I'm not recommending you take legal action against the guy who commands the minions. What I'm talking about is this, Sugru. It's basically this moldable putty-like stuff that hardens into a rubber-like substance it sets. And it's absolutely perfect for holding the block in place and covering up all the ugly edges around our hole. A big thanks to Matt, by the way, from DIY Perks, for showcasing this in a video that stuck around in my mind in case I needed it later. Sugru gives half an hour of molding time before it starts to set, which means that we had plenty of time to stuff as much in there as we needed to keep the jack in place and make our hole look as good as possible from the outside. This was my first time using it though, so smoothing it over to make it look good was a little bit of a challenge. 24 hours later, and yeah, it's set perfectly. Sure, it's not flawless looking, and I could have opened up another packet to smooth some more Sugru on top, but that would just be kind of wasteful in my mind. The only thing I have left to do now is to reassemble the headset and give everything a good clean. Unfortunately, the rubberized plastic which covers parts of this headset had kind of got a bit tacky feeling over the years, and to my knowledge there's nothing I can really do to fix that. The rest of it though, yeah, I can definitely clean away a lot of that grime. I actually had a spare pair of leather ear cups from a previous pair of these that I broke, which looked pristine, but as I was putting them on, I quickly found out that, yeah, they were not. These things were disintegrating even faster than the original pair that was already on there. So I had to go and use a less luxurious pair of fabric ear cups, which luckily had held up much better in the original box. Now though, it's the time you've all been waiting for. The final question. Do they actually work? Hell yeah! These things actually work surprisingly well, and hold up surprisingly well against my professional headphones. Sure, they're a little bit muddy by comparison, but those things are 4 times more expensive, so it's absolutely no surprise that these things came so highly recommended back in the day. The microphone works too. Yeah, sure, it doesn't hold up so well, even in comparison to my modern laptop's built-in microphone, but sure, it probably works better than the one that's built into a cheap webcam. So absolutely perfect for all of those work from home Zoom meetings then. Having only a single connector to plug in versus having 2 makes it twice as convenient as well. Just make sure to pick up a 4-pole cable if you don't already have one. I was surprised to find that I didn't have one in my ever-growing collection of cables. One of them was like 4-pole on one end, but it had an inline mic, so it was only 3-pole on the other end. I'll leave a link to an appropriate 4-pole cable on Amazon in the description for those of you that need one. I really hope that you enjoyed watching me work through this project. Thanks for watching till the end, by the way. If you want to let me know what you thought, you can leave a comment down below. That does wonders for the algorithm, so help me get a nice, hearty, warm helping of algorithm stew to help me through those cold January nights. Once again, if you'd like to stick around, you can give that subscribe button a nice big click, and I'll be sure to be back with something even more epic next time. Until then, have a good one.